Hi, I'm Kim-Bada, and I'm going to talk about AIDS prevention policy in South Africa. The reason why I chose this topic was that I wrote an essay for a native teacher class on the topic of preventing and eliminating AIDS. And I thought that the government of a country with severe AIDS needs to implement an AIDS prevention policy well. So while I was looking for information about this, I found an example of South Africa. In the case of South Africa, I thought it would be helpful for the policy making of sub-Saharan countries where AIDS is serious because everything from failure to success of fear. I will now talk about South Africa's AIDS prevention policy. The analysis of the policy will be divided by each administration that read South Africa's policy. The first is the apaha regime. The characteristic of the apaha regime is that it views AIDS from a heterogeneous perspective and eventually uses it as a means to suppress black people. The first deaths from AIDS occurred in 1985. In 1987, the apaha regime added AIDS to the official list of infectious diseases in South Africa and took measures to isolate suspected or confirmed infections. Since then, the AIDS advisory body was established in 1988, but the number of AIDS cases in South Africa has increased rapidly due to poor effort. The issue was raised at the Fourth International Health Conference in South Africa in April of that year, and documents to combat disease, including prevention and human rights protection for infected people, were published. In early 1991, a national conference was held and a national advisory group was also established, but it was later disbanded and replaced by the National AIDS Program. Despite these policies, the reason why the incidence of AIDS has not decreased is because of the apartheid regime's racist tendencies. During the apartheid administration, white lawmakers insisted homosexual and black that are the cause of AIDS to eliminate black people by using disease. Next up is the Nelson Mandela administration. Nelson Mandela is characterized by the use of AIDS for political purposes, as the government was elected in the first democratic election since the apartheid regime. In addition, the 1990s TRIPS agreement makes it difficult to use ARV, an AIDS treatment drug. Let's find out what policies have been implemented. Nelson Mandela's government, launched by democratic elections, has developed policies in three structures that focus on increasing civil society to participate. The first is the HIV, AIDS, and STD advisory group. The second is the NGO funding committee. And the third is HIV, AIDS, and STD research committee. Since then, South Africa has established a national AIDS plan and has tried to reduce the spread of HIV and AIDS through public education campaign. But as I said, the government refused to distribute drugs and focused only on prevention, which erected practical effect. And the racist politics of the previous administration used AIDS policy as a political door. A characteristic of the third administration is that HIV does not cause AIDS, which has led to poor drug availability. The main goal of the 2000 to 2005 administration under Thabo Mbeki is to reduce new infections, particularly among adolescents, and reduce HIV and AIDS influence on individuals, families, and communities, In other words, it is characterized by focusing on preventing infection, among other things. To learn more, in 2001, the National Committee on AIDS was formed. I dealt with the Inter-Ministry Committee on AIDS. The National Integration Plan for HIV and AIDS infected and affected children also supported HIV/AIDS positive children through a joint investment by the Department of Health Education and Social Development, Life Skill Education for Youth, and Home Community-Based Care NIP Fund. The rest administration is the Zuma administration. The Zuma administration is more active than any of the previous government in implementing AIDS prevention policy and budgeting hundreds of millions of dollars, offsetting the previous government's failure and establishing a successful AIDS policy today. Since his election in 2009, he has tested all children exposed to HIV by late autumn of that year and promised to provide ARV to all HIV-positive children, applying it to 95% of actual mothers, reducing child infections by 3.5%. Since then, we have launched an HIV counseling and testing media campaign, promoted the availability of free testing and counseling at health clinics, and tried to reduce negative perception of disease. Since then, with steady efforts, 11.9 million South Africans have been tested for HIV every year. In 2012, 5 billion rupees were spent on HIV/AIDS treatment and management. Since then, the government has introduced extensive ARV treatment through the public health sector so that 80% of infected people can be treated by 2016. Since 2016, South Africa has become the first country to overcome the failure of its past AIDS prevention policy and meet all the conditions set out by the World Health Organization. In addition, they have established policies to encourage people to take HIV tests once a year and prevent sexual workers from infecting. This concludes the analysis of South Africa AIDS prevention policy. Thank you for watching.